All right, good evening, everyone. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we're going to begin. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ojani Generette. I am a parent of 3 students here. I'm also an employee of Baltimore City Schools. So we're going to get started with the SBA. The SBA wants to, or has a presentation for us, and then we'll discuss or introduce yourself. Yes, introduce you. So we're going to have representatives from the SBA introduce, and then we have a teacher's perspective on why we're here for this particular meeting. So.
Courtney, and welcome to our town hall meeting to talk about the vandalism record that we've been having and your ideas in town hall is greatly appreciated. Tell us all about it.
I'm Rachel James. I have 2 kids that go here. I am reading this on behalf of Erica Robbins, who's here. So I'm just going to read it verbatim as it is here. My name is Erica Robbins. I am the 7th, 8th grade GLA teacher here at North Bend. This is my 9th year teaching at the school, which I often call my son. The recent events of vandalism has changed the sense of comfort for me. For lack of better words, it has rocked my world. Although we have been reassured that the officials are taking every measure to find answers that keep us safe, I still feel unsettled. I think about the possibility of it happening daily. I also breathe the sense of warmth that was once felt in my classroom. After it was invaded and several of my sentimental belongings were destroyed, my classroom doesn't feel like my second home anymore. I hope that this town hall meeting can offer some support to staff members and to the members of the community.
Great. So let me introduce myself again. I'm a little nervous, so I'm gonna slow down this time. So my name is Ojani Generette. And we're all here for the same purpose, is to making or working at the same accord to make sure that the North Bend community is safe in the school and surrounding the school. So this particular topic, we started to discuss this in a PTO months ago. And we realized that some of the issues that we're addressing, a lot of the other parents had the same issues as well. So we decided as a collective group to try to elevate this a little bit higher than what the PTO can do, and maybe get some actionable plans in place to protect our students. So this evening we invited a lot of guests, as you can see, to come and maybe answer some of the questions that we have in regard to the safety and the vandalism and things that are going on in the community that might affect our school as well. So what we're going to do at this time, we're going to have each of the panelists introduce themselves and their role in the community, or their role as in how what is their role? I'm sorry. So we're going to start with Major Carter.
Good evening, everyone. It's so great to be here. Thank you to the PTO and the family members for inviting us here this evening. I'm Major Valencia Carter. I'm the commanding officer of the Southwestern District.
And I've been the major of the district for about 6 months. So I'm very, very happy and I'm proud to be here. And I look forward to hearing from you all, hearing your concerns. And I also look forward to sharing the collaboration that we've been doing on the public safety side. So thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Captain Paula. I am the executive officer of the Southwest District. And if I could just, when they read that letter from the teacher and students, schools are the last place that you would ever want to think that we have to fear as a student or a teacher. So we take that very personal, and we will do everything in our power so that kids feel safe and the teachers feel safe in this environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Good evening, everybody. My name is Delegate Sean A. Stinnett. I'm new to the legislature. I just actually got appointed by the governor in February. This place right here, I call my home. I grew up in this area. I grew up at 5203 Hillbrook Road, which is right down the street, as well as I graduated from the school that we're actually speaking about, which was at the time called West Markham Middle School. So I'm very familiar, but like I said, I wanted to be here. I mean, can't necessarily physically address some of the things that rely on the councilman and the Southwest District. However, I'm here to assist in any capacity that I can. Thank you.
Everybody, my name is Kimberly Sauer, and I am here tonight on behalf of Councilman Paris Gray, who is your local representative. Can you read? And so while he could not be here tonight, I am here to listen and report back to him, but also be able to help facilitate conversations between our office and our agencies that keep us safe. So I will stick around after for those who want to directly connect with our office, but thank you so much for having us here today.
My name is Jeffrey Short. I'm the chief of office of the school police. I'm here to tell you about some initiatives and the rest of the creative work that's starting the property programs. It's important that you all come out. So this for this radio should be passed. We just talk about how we as a school community can prevent and resolve some of the issues that they around.
Good evening, everybody. Anthony Petty here, Director of Communications and Relations, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Oversees the buildings and oversees public schools. So I'll be addressing questions around facility maintenance and operations tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cora Parson. I'm the special assistant to the chief of schools, Dr. Stacey Placefield today. I'm here to thought partner with parents, school leaders, teachers, community members. I serve as a liaison between those. I work closely with Anthony, there's a lot of community connection. So any other school-related questions that you may have, or any questions about partnerships, reach out and whatever questions you have directly today, we'll work on today, and I'll be passing the information from my chief.
Thank you all. Thank you for being. This Biden's saying too. So thank you all for coming out tonight for us. So I just wanted to go over a couple of programming things that are going to happen tonight. So we're going to start with a question panel that the PTO and other parents and stakeholders have asked through the months of us planning to put this together. I'm going to read off the questions, and we're going to have the panelists answer some or try to answer some of the questions that we have in regards to that. And then also, we're going to have an open mic session. It's about 10-15 minutes. And then we also had some questions come online from our chat line. So I'm going to be reading those off, and hopefully we can get some of those questions answered as well. So we're going to start with, you all hear me? I'm sorry, this mic is going out as well. So, okay. Here we go. So this is going to be for anybody on the panel. Feel free to jump in and answer questions as I read them all. The first question that we have, did we catch any of the previous person or people that vandalized our building in the past? If so, what punishment is given?
We arrested, there were multiple burglaries, 3 burglaries in North Bend. However, in the western side or southwestern general area, we uncovered the ring of juvenile with the help of some of the school administrators and some of the students who knew the persons who were breaking the school. So we arrested 8 juveniles and 2 adults. The juveniles still waiting the case being adjudicated in the state attorney's office, and they also imposed conduct. It can range from 5 days to 45 days. I can't tell you one of the students that was arrested, he's been expelled for the rest of the year. So it's the parents, they feel this as well. So young people, when you do stuff like that, your parents also feel affected because at some point you will not be able to go to school in the general area where you live. Some people can move from schools from Southwest to like East Baltimore. So imagine that a middle schooler having to go to East Baltimore and live in the Southwest. So it's consequences beyond just the regular consequences that you see in the picture because the parents suffer the consequences as well. Parents, what I would say is if your kid comes leaving out the house 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, that's on you. First question is, where you going? Who you going with? If you ask me, could you go? That's how I was raised. And a lot of times parents just say, okay, well, I'll see you when you get back. You don't always promise to go back. So when they do stuff like that, you never know who you may encounter. Somebody else will be bringing it. On the way, Baltimore is changing, but there's still areas where things just happen, right? So I would say that we all as a community, as a village, need to stop this thing. The whole see something, say something, it's true. Some kids saw something and they said something. Some principals saw something and they said something. So, eventually it'll come to a head as it did with these 8 juveniles. And I can say, I don't know if this is wood or not, but knock on wood, it is tremendously slowed down. The 2 adults that were part of another ring, and they were using some of the juveniles that we're still trying to identify the breaking schools throughout the city. But we're doing our best. The school year is over, so it's about to ramp up even more because now some of the schools may not have as many people in them all the time. So I need you, if you see something, say something. If you have a pen, I can tell you now it's 410-396-8588, and I'll give the number to your administrators. That's the number directed to school police. Call the number right away for kids breaking the school, backpacks, leaving school, just call us. All schools now have alarms. We're trying to change the alarms from silent alarm because, like the movie side, they just don't know we're coming. I'd rather for you not to do what you do once you get inside, if you get inside.
Thank you. So the next question, we're unclear on what we as families can know about the incidents. When they occur, the description shared with the family feels very vague. Could there be a follow-up to the initial report when more is known? The issue is that as a parent, as I know, I've seen it as well. There's a lot of miscommunication, like a notice will go out, and then as I'm walking and picking up my children every day, I'll hear parents say, oh no, something's happened in the building, which is not true. So is there a way we can kind of clarify and clean up any confusions regarding this? And then also, is there information that maybe we should or should not know? In terms of like investigations with some of the vandalism and crime that's happening in the building?
I can answer that one again. Some information because they're young just can't. It's called a FERPA, all right? FERPA, this allows agencies from sharing information. Shields basically juveniles from a lot of information. So some information you see on TV, we'll put a picture out, and if you know what it is, you tell what it is. But we can't tell you once the rest of the juveniles identifiable information. I can just give you a prime example. Digital Hawk was broken into. And they caused like $750,000 of damage at Digital Hub. They went to every classroom. Buster went to every classroom. The students knew who did it, and they told the principal, they said, if the kids come back to the school, they're gonna have a problem, right? So We can't share information, but we'll take as much information as you can give us. And at the end of the day, when the arrest is made, they can report back, like I just told you, arrest is made. The principals can only share so much information, and that's what we or BPD gives you as well.
Just to add to Chief Short, so communication piece, our department writes the letters that go out to committee members, but if we don't want to always praise fear, so we don't want to always write letters trying something happens. So we're very methodical when we send letters out to ensure we'll do a better job making sure that if there's an update, should be a community meeting should be held, or a letter with an update saying juveniles have been captured and we'll conference. We'll look at language a little more so that we can show that you have up to date, but we have to also protect investigations from happening, also making sure that we're able to let it continue before we announce certain things.
And I do want to say, let me allow me to take my delegate hat off and put my parent hat on, and also the community. You know, I'm still president of my own association, and I would say it's based on communication. You know, one, make sure that you're dealing with communication as far as from school. Please make sure that your contact information is current. You know, you want to make sure your email address is current. You want to make sure your phone number is current, so you can get that proper communication that you need and that you see. Also, I would say that take advantage of, just in case of certain communication may not come from the school directly to you, but stay in contact with your community association because they get a set of information. You know, start attending your district commanders meeting because, you know, once a month they have a district commanders meeting, or they even have a Southwest Community Relations Council meeting. And that's where additional information and communication that you can get as far as on what's happening in your surrounding area, or what's happening in school, or just what's happening with the district.
And thank you for the plug. It's the fourth Tuesday. No, thanks for the plug. It's the fourth, our commander meeting is the fourth Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. It's at the district, the Southwest District.
All right, thank you. So the next question that we have, what actions have been taken to prevent future vandalism?
So from a facility standpoint, we have added additional capacity as well as security on cameras. We actually have a partnership now with Conversion, which is a national security camera company. They're gonna actually pilot this new program at North Bend. So they actually heard about what was going on. They reached out to our offices. And I said, well, let's try it in North Bend. What's gonna happen is they're gonna add additional perimeter cameras as well as sensors. And so that will allow us to have additional details. They actually did a site walk by an optical principle to identify the locations. And then it will be installed over the next 6 to 8 weeks to additional protection on campus. So not only, because this school has a lot of internal cameras and very few exterior cameras, provide exterior coverage, and it has certain sensors on it that we provide to our camera system. We can monitor them more frequently as well. So this, I think, or in Conversion of not charging us at all for this. It's a partnership with us. That's how we think it works. We'll add these additional schools that have had maybe 7 ratings this year to make sure you guys aren't going to be our determination if we actually pursue this company or not as a great partner.
We've also increased our patrol, so we have a top 10 list of the schools that are priority based on incidents that have occurred since August. And North Bend is one I know people pulled up today. He didn't know I was coming here, but the officer was sitting out at night. So everybody, each at night they patrol and they got to check certain schools twice a day, twice a night, because you got to realize at night they got to check all the schools across the city. So sometimes it's fire alarm, burglar alarm, they got to respond to, but they check certain schools twice a night. If we can't make it and the burglar alarm comes out, we notify the Southwest State, if you help us out. You have to also respond, at least check the perimeter. And now because we have a great collaboration with BPD, they know the points of entry, points of exit. They know the suspects. They know the people. If you see people leaving out this particular way, the points of entry and exit. So they knew like we need to go. So before it wasn't so great, but now it's really a great collaboration that we have with BPD and the patrol of these top 10 schools.
And I did records that the major and I also beefed up they're called business checks. It's just the way that our CAD system calculates that information from our officers. So they're supposed to be doing business checks at every school. We have 14 schools right now in the district, 2, and then we have 2 that are vacant. But every post officer is supposed to be going to school several times throughout the shift, and also do the checks around the school, not just go in the parking lot and categorize it as a business check, but also get out of the car, walk around the school, check the doors. I know the manager was working one weekend, at midnight, so we go around, put on the doors, and check on the doors. So we have implemented that, and just since this whole rash of burglaries occurred, we're on 400 business checks at all of our schools. So,
I also want to lift up that the Department of General Services, under city services, also has, security as well. But if you, again, like to see something, say something is really important, but feel free to also share with the councilman's office. My cell phone is on my card because we have immediate access to the Department of General Services. You can also immediately respond when there's like a entryway that's open that, shouldn't be, or a window is broken that hasn't been boarded up yet. So again, reaching out and letting us know the information in real time is definitely key.
Okay, thank you. So ironically, the next question is we're in regards to security cameras and what type of security was going to be provided. So I'm gonna actually skip that question and move on to the next couple of questions. So how can we as a community help?
They all day, eat something, speak something, say something. Especially if summer months come over, about, our young people want to go outside and have fun, but they need to be monitored. Out of damages that we have, saying this, always breaking, has been, it costs a lot of money to repair. But you have to take the money from this budget, that can be repairing something in one in the gym, or I have to invest money in the cameras. So it's the collaboration, it's the conversation. Know when if you haven't yet, if you have an iPhone, I'm on an Android. But an iPhone, there's a location share. You should be able to use your child, you know, when they are at all times. So you can monitor them, why are at school at 10 o'clock at night? So just making sure that that's a great way to collaborate, and then just communicate with school principals, say, hey, I know it's Anthony came late last night, so I don't know that, I didn't know where he was, but something happened. He might have been part of it, we had honest conversations. My mom was very quick to say, yeah, it was Anthony. I know it was, we tell what happened. Because when you know your children, you know what the game was. Time we like to say, oh, it can't be that. We have to be honest for ourselves sometimes and say, let's collaborate, let's address it, and let's hold the young people accountable, but also give a chance to be themselves and see how they contribute back to the community and if they image as well. So it's not even
just to go off of what Anthony is saying, a lot of the work that we're doing inside the schools, and I really have to uplift our administrators, they're doing a very good job of helping our students have pride in their school. And when you have pride in the place that you continuously utilize, then you're less likely to vandalize or do something to it. One of the issues is that we are a choice district. So what our central office team has been doing is trying harder to establish relationships within our community groups and making those connections so that even if the child does not attend a school in their neighborhood, they still have a sense of community in that school. And then also, even if you are in a community and you may not attend that school, you're a city school student and you're still welcome to be in those events. Our communications department has done an excellent job with ramping up our social media engagement so that students are aware of the things that are going on in the community that are designed for them. And we're hoping that as the summer goes on, we have a great partnership with the mayor's office. They're doing a lot of events for our students. We're going to continue to push them out and collaborate, because when we see the effectiveness in establishing community within our schools and our neighborhoods, and when students feel like they're somewhere where they are wanted and they belong, they will produce into that community. Like Anthony said, they will be a part of it. So we are fast tracking those things. This is year 2 of our summer engagement, and we are open to feedback, but we're seeing a lot of great results, and we're hoping that we can continue to gain traction and time in school.
I just want to talk about one thing. So a lot of times, people, I'll just say people, I'm not going to call them police, because I don't want them to get in trouble, right? It's a thing called a diversion program. The diversion program is an alternative to the arrest. So we get the information from the DJS, the state attorney's office, and based on that information, or we ourselves can refer a young person to the diversion program. It's basically a learning lesson that you get without having anything impact you criminally. It's just something, and they usually resolve through teen court. It's basically, they go through almost like a real live judicial process, but it doesn't really count against you. So don't think if you call, I don't want to mess them up for life because they're just a kid, right? Diversions are what, we have over 500 diversions just this school year alone. We're pushing out kids, trying to break that school to prison pipeline, and diversion is a perfect way to use that system to not get that, but let them know that there is a consequence.
Thank you. So, we know that, well, it was mentioned that a lot of the, vandalism and the crime that has been happening in the building as a result of, youth. So my question, or the question that's on this paper, is the assumption that the same people are doing it again and again? And are our teachers and administrators safe?
They're safe. Most of the time, the burglaries occur at night from between 10 at night and 3 in the morning. So I don't know any teachers on the city building 10 at night and 3 in the morning. And most of the burglaries that have occurred, they steal chips. They steal $10, $20, but most of it occur, it's destruction problem. You're always safe. What I would say is as long as you're not in the school at 10 or 11 o'clock at night when they break it in, if they break it in, then you won't encounter it. If you're taking a walk at night with your dog, you're safe for Baltimore. People know BPD has done a great job with all of the resources they have in the city and reducing crime. So the neighborhood, when I grew up in Northwest, Southwest, you didn't come to, right? Yale Heights, I'm not going to the Heights. Things have changed, right? A lot of things have changed. And it's because of people like you that make a difference. And you take that information and you share that information. And I'm sure some of you mentor and counsel the young people as well. So what I would say is the summertime is coming. If it's 80 degrees at night, you see those 3 little young guys or young girls with backpacks and book bags and hoodies, you should call somebody and say something about that, especially if you see them walking to this school or Beachville or wherever they're going. Just let us stop and talk to them, right? But it just don't make sense. If it's 80 degrees outside, where you going to the gym, trying to lose some weight? Just let us know, right? We can stop and have a conversation with them to figure out what's going on. What do you need that you're out here this time of night with those type of clothes?
And I would say that stay consistent as far as she was mentioning, as far as calling 911, utilizing 311, especially if you have a smartphone, say 311 app, you see something. What happens is that when that information is reported, specifically on 911, that's sort of calculated, and they put it in their data, and they look at that on a monthly basis. When they see something escalated, that tells them that they need additional resources in that particular area. But it only can happen when you stay consistent as far as utilizing the call 911 and 3.
Okay, thank you. So, we have additional questions from online, and then after I finish with these 3 questions, we are going to move to, a Q&A. And we'll discuss the, rules around that. So, the first question, why have the classroom doors been replaced with bulletproof doors or doors without windows as a safety measure?
So our response is this, that when we should put fire marshal, that's what certain things in there, the fire marshal cited. So we have to make sure the standards are better. And we're also looking at, if many of y'all heard recently in December we announced we're doing a major project to replace interior doors. But when the state and the federal government came in last month and took away our money, that project was delayed. So we actually had a plan to change the interior locks where the laws, the best practice is that it's called one motion door, that a teacher can lock within if there was an issue with it, and so the key can open it. Those doors cost money. So it cost $40+ million. And of course, when they took our money away from the feds last month, that stopped the project. But we do have a long-term plan already established. We're starting with the high schools first. and then we're gonna move to K-8s, but we're squashed the plan right now until funding gets allocated, hopefully the next year, happening. So we are, that's definitely in the plan. No, we cannot put bulletproof windows because against the fire marshal code and stuff like that. So we were looking at material was unfortunately with the funding departments, to move our hands. So we have not forgotten that. We will give the community an update. Once funding is allocated, we'll come back to that around it. But that's definitely not the same place of priority was those windows and the doors and the classes. So that's not something that once funding is available, we will get back to you on it. It would be, that's the best thing for us to have. And each still has a different key, has a different thing going on. The system will allow us to be universal. Oh, yes. So the secure vegetables upgrades, we're looking at funding the situation where you see in some schools, particularly 21st century schools, you come in, and there's a glass interior before you get buzzed in. We're looking at doing that as well at some of these sites. Those cost money. On average, it's about $485K, depending on the size and area there. So we are looking at that to a long-term plan to do that for all our students. So that when you come in, you have to be in a holding area. They check your ID and you move out to your main office. So we are looking at that as a future cost. But again, all this is contingent upon funding. We will continue to advocate more and more for that. Something you guys can do is when the next General Assembly comes in January of next year, you're advocating for more funding for security upgrades. Or your local city council meetings, they have those public hearings, say, hey, want to make our schools safe. You guys can give local schools funding and become our advocates in that part as well. I think the more they hear, it's like a 311 request, the more they hear more. It must be a big important issue. This many parents came out, talked about door security, so something I was recommending as well to have.
Thank you. So the next question is, what constitutes as an emergency? We call the school police and we are either ignored, no answer, or it takes hours for any officer to arrive.
So I would say during the daytime, I have anywhere from 35 to 40 police officers working throughout the city. We have 154, maybe 160 schools. So the police officers at the high school. At night, it's anywhere from 3 to 5 officers working. And overnight, it's usually 3 to 5 officers. So imagine they have to cover the entire city, and it's the complaint that we get, right? So I'm in the process now of hiring more officers. I have 6 in the police academy. I have 4 that go in. So hopefully within the next 2 years, I'll be able to staff all of the high schools and all the middle schools and shift some of that resources to the overnight and the midnight time frame to reduce the response. Like I said, when we can't get here, we notify them because our collaboration. So you may not see us or be school police supposed to come, but that's when we have our partner meeting. So we're using all the resources that we have. We can't be everywhere all the time, so we get here as fast as we can. And you're not ignored. You are our priority. That's what we do. That's what we got to work for every day, because you are our priority.
All right, thank you. So these 2 questions I'm going to read together because it does have pretty similar, questions together. Oh, I'm sorry, give me a second. How is the school district using the camera system in the schools to capture incidences and identify the vandals? And this is kind of goes along with this question too. Who is notified of the alarms when it goes off? Is it the school police or the city police?
So we have cameras that we watch. We have 2 locations that we dispatch from. Headquarters we have in BPD headquarters. When the alarm goes off, it goes to we have a computerized system. The alarm goes off, the screen turns red and tells the location. We dispatch the call. Sometimes certain schools, like charter schools, are not, all of them are connected to our system. So they have a separate alarm company who will call us, at 396 number that I got, and they'll dispatch a police officer from our building as well. However, sometimes the audible alarms will go off and we don't get the signals, so somebody call 911. BPD dispatcher would then reach over to our dispatcher, send a message, hey, a burglar alarm or fire alarm is going off of that school, then we dispatch that way. So we dispatch from two different locations, two different methods.
And there's been several times where the chief will actually call me on the phone after hours and say that I got a response going there, but they're a little ways out. Can you send it to me there? And we've done that multiple times to help assist with getting resources there fast. So it's happened multiple times.
And since it, at the height of it all, I mandated, it was a little hectic, but I mandated all of my officers to call me when they got a burglar alarm to our top 10 schools. So if it was 3 o'clock in the morning, my phone was ringing at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was calling Southwest A, if you guys send somebody, we had Hazelwood Elementary, which was on Sedona and Sinclair, and they on the way over. What people don't realize is some of these schools are large. And we can't just send one officer in to search the school by him or herself. So sometimes they gotta wait. And usually they travel together, they check the different schools. If they gotta go to the east side to check the school, they go to the east side. We may need one officer over this way, but he has to wait. So either BPD or one of the other school police officers can make his way over there because we want to go over our families as well like you want to go over yours. So we're not gonna go into a school or any building that it's just not safe to walk in that we don't know. The camera systems are hooked up to our EO center, our emergency operations center downtown. So when the alarm goes off, the dispatcher can click on the button and see the people in the school. And that's how we can tell the person had this on that. They went out this door, they went out that door. We'll call Foxtrot. The Foxtrot is up, they help us make arrests. And very often they help us make arrests. They ran up trying to steal a safe, but Foxtrot got up, so when they ran, they could catch all three. So it's a collaborative effort. It's just not like one person, one entity that's doing all of the work. So we're all working together. The camera system, we're upgrading the camera system, and we need to be upgraded bad. When I came to school, we had a lot of antiquated systems. Anthony, my chief, Dr. Sanders have poured money into get these things upgraded. They need to be upgraded. A lot of cameras are 10, 15 years old, and they work off like a DVR. So the officer has to come here and see in the building where the person is, or the alarm system goes off. They have to check the panel, which zone went off, but the camera system upgrades you now. You can look and see. A lot of principals are spending a lot of their own money on upgrading these cameras.
Great, thank you. So what impact does the neglected former school facility, Westboro Middle School, that was my own middle school, have on overall safety and security and community decline? So in other words, what is the plan for the vacant Westboro building next door? Is that impacting, some of the, safety concerns that we're having at the school?
So while we're sticking on the schools, we, resolve the school that's no longer ours, we give it back to City of Baltimore. City of Baltimore then decides to do, they're gonna request a new person to take over the building now. That doesn't say in our profile anymore, it's not considered to go to discuss the West Baltimore building.
I think it's still under.
It's in service. We don't facilitate it.
No, so yes, Department of General Services does, do the facility maintenance. So like I was saying before, when you call us, we have an immediate contact with DJS if there's a open entry that needs to be boarded up. There hasn't been a decision right now with what is going to happen with the surplus. That actually comes through the school system. And so between, it's a community decision, the community gets a chance to weigh in on the proposal of what's done with the building. But as of now, in this moment, DGS or Department of General Services is responsible for the boarding of windows, if windows are broken, if there is a door that is off the hinges, or if there is a pipe that bursts, things like that, of that nature. And like I was saying before, they have additional security that they deploy when those surplus schools are broken into as well.
So I'm actually part of the community, and I just want to ask, what is the next time we're going to meet as a community to talk about the West Baltimore building?
So well, that all depends on if someone is attempting to purchase the property, right? So when it's a surplus, it's kind of open for people to go to bid or propose what is gonna be next there. And it's almost like a sale on behalf of the school system, for the surplus school. So there's no real way to say who or when it's gonna happen, until we have a potential plot.
So there's one more question, and this is for Delegate Bennett. What plans do you have in Annapolis to support Baltimore City Public Schools?
Yeah, well, of course, just let me give you some background. Of course, you know, as I mentioned before, I just got selected in February, so unfortunately I wasn't able to put any bills personally. However, you know, this coming session, and this is why I'm sort of going my round robin as far as kind of getting some feedback from the community to see exactly where I need to focus. And just listening to this and listening to some other schools as well, having similar issues. I think that, you know, what I'm going to start working on is sort of similar what former Senator John Carter Conway did in the past in regards to funding to schools, which they created sort of a certain lockbox, that certain funding can go to that lockbox so it can be dedicated to certain areas or certain services as such as this in terms of public safety. You know, as far as then you can go to public safety in terms of cameras or, you know, door switches and so forth. So that's something that I'm looking, because I think that it's personal sort of a specific resource that schools like this that need to kind of enhance what you already have and so forth. And as I think the chief had said before, there's a lot of upgrade as far as in security equipment and so forth, as far as technology overall that needs to be upgraded. So my plan is as far as to sort of recreate similar like that, put money in the lockbox. That means that it's only dedicated for, say, Baltimore City Schools and no one else within the state. Even though if they try to look for funding for school, they can't touch the funds within that lockbox.
All right, thank you to the panel. So we're going to now open it up to a Q&A for any parents that are interested or did not have their questions answered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place the microphone down on the at the bottom of the stage. And each parent will have about 2 minutes to ask their question. And let's just remind you that we're all, this is the end of the day. We all have lots of questions. We're going to be respectful of each other's time. We're also going to try to be respectful for some of the answers that you hear. And so that we should be able to get a lot of input from this session. So don't be shy. I'm shy and I'm up here emceeing. So don't be shy to come up and ask a question. I'm going to place this down here. And feel free. And ask any questions.
Oh, damn.
My name is Eric Wilson. I'm a member of the PTO here in North Bend. I have about 5 questions, but mostly them were answered throughout the night. I just want clarification, I guess. Because we are in like a weird place where like county line. Baltimore City Southwest would be the one to respond to any 911 calls that would be kicked off from Baltimore City. Correct? It would not be Baltimore County.
It's within this area, the Southwest District of Baltimore.
That's what it's.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I have a question, a couple of questions. I think we're working on the here and now. What about the future? What about the summer? What's going to be the plan? Sometimes when it's a sitting empty building, like I don't know if it's going to be at summer school or anything here. What are we doing to deter kids or the adults that act like kids from doing it?
Well, for the Baltimore City Southwest side, again, as we've been saying, we're going to continue the collaboration and the great partnership with, the city school police. We're going to continue our increased patrol. So we're going to also, the investigations, into these incidents are still going to be ongoing. So if there is, multiple people who are engaging in the same type of incidents at multiple schools, hopefully, once the investigations progress and conclude, hopefully that should kind of stem it down. We are going to continue that collaboration, which is very important. And we're going to continue to increase the patrol, like the captain mentioned, getting out of our cars, having aerial support, fly over, because it's very important, because once, there's increased vulnerability, once they know that schools are going to be empty. So we're just going to continue pushing forward with that. Thank you.
And I'm right. I'm three that's here. We want-
All right.
Sure. And were any, if you can answer this question, were any of the kids that were apprehended or were they from this school or they were all outside? If you could answer, if you can, I understand.
So I can tell you, some of them were former students.
Okay.
Former students, and, 5 of them lived in the general neighborhood.
Okay. I used to live in this neighborhood and my neighbor was robbed over here playing in the playground. One of her sons were robbed there, so I understand. And this has been an ongoing, I've been gone for some time, but he was going to school, he walked to school and he was robbed of his tennis shoes. So this isn't really a new issue, maybe hitting the building is a new issue, but in the general area. And my question is, or my statement, the school police, thank you everyone. The Baltimore police, school police, but you can't be everywhere every time. Are you not working together? Like when you have reduction in staff, it doesn't go over to, okay, it's only 5 of us on working right now. Can you, I understand crime is crime is crime is crime, but I understand more violent crimes. I want to take the precedent. That's just with 911 and 311. Some of the schools say maybe a 311, meaning not as important as the emergency or emergency as the 911. But from what I'm gathering and what you explained, I'm like, this guy's not working.
Yeah, so I
To
said,
me,
I only
yeah.
text him, so I said that, so he just said that if you get a call in the middle of the night, I give him a call, I call him and say, hey, can you send some, I did talk about that, plus, that, when school is over, I'm shifting some of my daytime resources to work at night from 3 to 11, and overnight from 12 to 8, so I did say that. There will be more police officers at night during those hours from 3 to 7 in the morning, so there will be more police, there'll be more building checks. I can spread out and we collaborate with them almost every day.
And what's usually the timeframe for response? Because I get that question that was asked, like,
I
you know,
can't-
you can wait from 5 minutes, because they might be in the area for 5 hours, because.
So I can't give you, I'm not gonna make a number just to
Yeah.
to satisfy your question, but it could be, like you said, from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on what's going on. If the call comes out, my dispatcher, if they gotta come from another side, they gotta come from another side. I'll be able to reach out to the Baltimore County Police Chief to say, hey, I know you can only do for so much, but if we need the assistance of your helicopter, can we use it as well? So he's there to say, hey, Jeff, just give me a call with one of the district commanders there. We'll help you out with best we can.
And again, I know someone else is going to come up here. I lived in this area. I had to call the police for something minor, but we are on that line. That both right here is that Baltimore City County line. I had 2 officers show up to my incident. They were like, well, it's the city line, you do it. No, it's like it's county line, you did it, do it. So they stood out there for 5 minutes. Just give me the reports. But we are on that cusp to where.
It depends on who you call.
Call 911
It depends on who you call from. So,
across the street, though. I used to live across the street and they 2 officers came out, but one was from the city and one was from the county. And I was like, I don't think it wasn't nothing major, but I was like, give me the report number for my insurance company. But that's how close it was. So when you say that, you're on the cusp, even then they didn't know who should take the call. And finally, or what did he say? I'll write the report for you. But he was like, I'll do it for you. It's okay. But I get it when you say right there, and I would cross the street. Totally. If they don't know, when we call 911, I didn't say 911 city, 911, I just gave them my address. So please, all of my kids, I get it. Thank you very much for this opportunity, whatever. But also with the school system, this is my first, I said I would be a parent, because I'm a grandparent. This was the first time I ever received any email about anything going on. And I get it, this is important, but this whole year, this is bad. That's why I asked this going on further. I never got any other email. I was like, they sent this to me, and I had 3 grandchildren here. I came to the first day when you giving out supplies and everything, and I signed up for everything. I was like, well, maybe, I don't know, rock the boat. I got 6 grandkids, 3 to go to the schools, but I never was notified for nothing. And I'm a retired grandmother.
So as the PTO, we try to invite the community members in to some of the meetings that we have, and this is pretty much the biggest response we've got. We wanted to make sure that our voices will be heard in regards to safety of the building and safety of the grounds around us and the community as well. So yeah, we pushed to have this meeting and broadcast this meeting so that everybody can come and share their concerns with our district people to make sure that things are, safe for everybody.
One thing that I do want to add about what are we doing for the summertime and things like that. I think, and this is something that our office can bring up to Monty, because, they have a very robust youth engagement plan. And I think one of the things that we can do is connect with you to, pull that data from which, these youth involved and what neighborhoods they live in, so that we can do more canvassing and outreach to the families, and get more involvement in our youth program. There's a incredible summer program that is about to be launched. And so, yeah, all across the city. And so we just had a hearing on it over at Edmonton West Side, High School. And, we can reach out to Monty and ask them to do increased canvassing, increased outreach, in a lot of our communities, where, we're finding that youth are not having these touch points. And also working together with school police and EPD that, if you see something and you call and you're like, I see the kids in hoodies walking down the street and they look like they're walking towards school, that touch base with those agencies can be funneled and referred into a Muncie summer program, so that we're not just taking that criminal justice approach, but really doing a better job at engagement and asking the why, rather than the accountability of them.
And Muncie's what?
I'm sorry, the mayor's office of neighborhood.
Thank you.
But real quick, I do want to mention quickly is that, and I may not, clearly I'm not directed to you. It may not be directed to anybody. But I would say that, 2 things. And I think the chief had said it earlier. I have 2 feelings. But the first responders for when it comes to my children, it's us. And I think that's what, the message that he was trying to relay, we should know automatically. I don't expect any law enforcement to dictate or have to relegate or, apprehend or whatever to my children, because I'm the first responder. Also, because even with me as a legislator, the last thing I want to do is legislate something in reference to, a child. I serve with the Southern Committee, I want to be Judiciary Committee, and I just want myself to be it's a family. But I know that I need to serve it. However, the last thing I want to do is I don't want to be the one that creates sort of that prison pipeline. But the first responder, I gotta go back to first responder, is us, as far as making sure that even within as being neighbors, let's grab the neighbor next door, even if they have a child or not, come to me. Let's address the issues, the concerns and so forth, but also it's us, as we mentioned before, is seeing what's going on and reporting. That's going to help them, not necessarily being there, but we need to know what's going on. That's what's going to assist. Also, the second thing, as far as, and I would say I'll put my community hat, understand as far as, and I don't want to, I'm not stealing yours. But, understand, saying if there's a citywide shooting that's taking place, you may not get that call or response within 5 to 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And I mean, you may know, but I don't know if everybody understands, even though that we may have a certain crime that takes place towards you, next door, whatever, but they may not be as serious enough to where to deserve the response quickly enough, because they may be going to the citywide shooting or some sort that's sort of affecting the whole district area, that it pulls so many resources over to give that attention, that it may not provide the attention that you put towards
Something old and something new, which is safer village. So we have to become, again, our own village. You are here and all of us down there.
Just to address your question that you spoke on about not being notified. So, the communication system that we're using is going through an upgrade between the last 2 summers. So I would just say, if you're not using, Infinite Campus app, you can always come up to the office, whatever school your grandchildren are at, and, verify that your email or your text, like a mobile phone, is on it, because a lot of the, push notifications that come out is through an app that we use centrally, and it'll notify you via text and or email. But if it's a landline connected to the child's profile, you won't get the notification unless we do robocalls. And we try to hold robocalls off for 911 things. So
Yeah,
just,
no, I'm like third and fourth in the line, but I agreed to, and I submitted to Stephen, I was like, you call me anytime. And this is the message. But no problem.
Now we can go here. I have a quick question. Actually, too. Did you guys say call 311, 911?
To make it easy, just call now.
And then the other question was, for the building over there, I know you said that they have security already. Would it be possible to just do a quick tour around the building, like when somebody comes over, just to, I don't know, just do a little bit more? You see people that come in and out of that building consistently. Even when it's boarded up, they find them in and out regardless. Just like to just ramp up security a little bit more, just like a drive-by, you know, that was here and there was an issue.
So, I'll give you my cell phone, but, our office does, communications with all the community associations in the immediate area of where we have all surplus groups. So not just this building, but in particular this building. You know, we've had issues with that. And I very much encourage in real time, call me, text me, so that I can talk to DG at the Department of General Services. And let them know that somehow, some way, someone is getting in that building. Because number one, that's trespassing, but number two, we need to find where they are getting in and out of immediately. So for the surplus side of it, absolutely, please put into 311, but even if you don't, at the very least, if you could text me in real time. Someone is always available on my phone, if it's not me, but if it's usually me, so that I can flag it and we can immediately get on that. As far as the security goes, that is, I guess, I don't know.
So when my guys be around, you can check their building. Like I said, it's a lot of bureaucratic politics involved in checking the surplus versus non surplus. And making sure that they can safety check some of the surplus just on safety going for people when they go in.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying building.
Oh, yeah, we got it. Sometimes you got to, I mean, it's a lot of surplus buildings that just aren't safely going, right? So that's why they've been processing them, carrying a lot of them down or repurposing.
My question is for Ms. Sauer. Specifically, you stated that the surplus building kind of, with the next time you can do really anything about that is when somebody bids on it. So is there nothing else that can be done specifically because, I mean, it's been sitting for a long time now, not to mention the fact that like Well, for the 5 years, like, I've only been here for 2. And like, my little one just started school. I walk him probably 3 out of every 5 days in school, walk past that building with the tags on it, with the windows busted out. And I'm like, more than anything else, like 11 days ago, there was fire. And we're gonna have to wait for somebody to bid on a derelict building that's already been sitting for 5 years before something gets done. Like, is there nothing else we can do?
The city doesn't control the sale. We do the maintenance of it while it is in the surplus. That is the school system, and the school system is regulated by the state. And I don't know if.
I'll jump in. So, welcome to Mike. My name is Leslie Carter. I'm with Department of General Services, no worries. Surplus school, that is under DGS. But I want to make sure we're clear as to what our Department of General Services, that DGS, Department of General Services with the city of Baltimore, we are only responsible for maintaining the security of the building. That's it. When it comes down to the sale of the building, and along those lines, that's between the mayor's office, the state, and whatever the community put in place. So for us, when you see things that we're putting in place, right now we're talking about fencing and a fencing contract to go around that location. We're hoping to put that in place within the next, hopefully sometime before the summer. We do have security that comes out, security that does come out. They come out several times a day if they can. This is not the only surplus school. We have within our portfolio, we have about 25 surplus schools. We have one security company for this, and they go out and they go to all these locations. When we do have a fire or something along those lines, we're in contact with the fire department, we're in contact with local police. We sometimes reach out to the NCO, the community officers, as it relates to our team going in and securing the building. I'm going to be very transparent and say that we only secure the first floor, because again, these buildings have no electricity, it has no water, and we're not going to send our team in there to go in different floors to try to secure it. So I know that sometimes we get the call of, hey, this third floor windows are burst out. Unless someone's throwing a bottle in there, to cause a fire, there's nothing we can do. Our job is to make sure that it stays secure, then nobody can get in. So, a lot of times when our security go out, they'll go around the building and they'll see, hey, we have an open window. Immediately, there's 9 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, I could take on Thanksgiving while I was cooking. We had someone come in and was like, hey, this door is open, and you had to have my team out there immediately to secure this location. Not this one, but this next surplus school in general. Kimmy is correct. She's correct as when it comes down to what our goal is, what our job is. We have nothing to do with the sale of this property. The city of Baltimore, I'm saying DGS, our only responsibility is to keep it safe and keep people out. Our security team is not armed, so we have to partner with Baltimore City Police. We call them sometimes and say, hey, we need to get in there. We don't know what's in there. There are times we find, I think the last time that we came out here, there was kids in there that they had DoorDash a whole bunch of food. And we had a whole bunch of food that was out there. Police came, they ran up. So this is the ongoing. This is the ongoing issue. This is not this location. I'm not trying to minimize anyone's feeling, but I'm going to be realistic that this is going to be going on this situation. I would say, as a prior community leader for Southwest Baltimore, I lived in Yale Heights for a very long time. I know all about this. I had Southwest Leadership Roundtable with it that was here. I can say that if you want something done with the school, that this community needs to come together and say what we want. From what I was told, at one point in time, that there was a plan for that location, and the community did not want it, and the person who was looking into selling it, they wanted to buy it, back up. I would say to you all, if you do not want this property to sit, to come up with something that you want done, figure out funding, what does it cost, how does it help your entire community? And then you will probably get additional support from it. You have your state delegate right here. This is one of the things that you can do. I talk about funding bottom in the map. When it comes to the mayor's office, you have a conversation with the mayor's office. Hey, we have a buyer here. We want to go here. What can be what do you do? You have the council, heavy city council, there is funding that's that can be done, but the issue that we have with this area, I would say personally, is that people fight amongst each other in communities and then nothing happens. I am saying to you all, if you want something to happen to that building, come together with a true plan, put it in place. And I can tell you that I know Councilman, Bray personally, I know that personally, I can tell you that they are dedicated to this area. Come up with a plan, DTF, doing boards. We don't have an issue with talking, to the mayor's office about surplus schools. Kimmy will tell you, I have meetings with each council member, just to talk about the schools in their area, some things are schools, some are recreation centers. And I can tell you, some communities, they do come in, hey, we want this knocked down, we want green space. Some come out and say, hey, I want a recreation center, or we found our own. I'm gonna go over, sorry. No, okay. So. No, I would say some, there are some, districts, that they say that, hey, want to knock down. Hey, we do want to have green space. Hey, we do want to, move forward and make a community center, and we do have, a buyer that wants to come in. And I can say that, ask about doing RFP, which is something that we, this can go out and get some inquiries about what this looks like. So there are options. I can say that if you want something done in that building, you gotta come together. And I'm done. Is there any other questions about the property? I know that, Kimmy, thank you so much for trying to find out. Any more properties, questions about the property? There's going to be fencing for that specific location. We're putting fencing around it. I can confirm with Derek, with one of my team members, where we are with this, but there is going to be fencing that goes around it. There is also cameras that are AI cameras, which would, as soon as someone comes onto the property in a certain location, it will go off, it will light up. There's someone that's going to be up in that, so it's just not a camera going nowhere. We have it at 4 different locations that had a lot of issues with illegal activity. Soon as that person comes into whatever specific area, there's someone that says, hey, why are you on this property? Get off our property. And it does work. Again, we're not talking about those who are just walking their dogs. We're not talking about kids that are just walking by. We're talking about those that are watching real time to see exactly what they're doing. That's 24 hours.
And is that something that's capable of going and building? Your team was really kind. A couple neighbors got together about a year ago and we did like a walkthrough, and it's been like so torn up on the inside, right? Wires taken out. Is the camera that you're describing, that possible in that building, given the level of destruction?
So,
like
the cameras that's going to be installed, they are solar cameras. So that's why, because like you said, there's no electricity.
and
So there's solar cameras that you can go on top of the building, or they have them on top of like these tall poles, different locations, but none of these buildings have, they don't have plumbing, don't have electricity.
And would your office be the point of contact for things like I think one of the teachers was mentioning that like the parking lot, like that I think it's like connected to that, there's an R, like, is that the kind of things, like, would your office help with some of those things that there's like?
As in,
it's between the two?
that would be councilman, we already talked about getting it to be lit up. We're talking about, so that's a DOT thing.
No, it's on school property, there's no parking lot.
Yeah, we can follow.
Yeah, let's say usually so I can say that there's some schools that, some locations that have illegal dumping. If you have illegal dumping, then sometimes we will put in, jersey balls to knock down the people can't come in. Illegal dumping usually is someone who's clearing out a house that don't want to take it to the dump, and then they find a place to do that. So one of the tactics we're putting in place is jersey balls. Jersey balls to break down so people cannot come up and drive up. We talked about this here. There was somewhat of a pushback at one point in time because I believe when you come down from whatever the bottom of the building is, that people were saying, oh, we still use that entrance to get up, so up here. So jersey walls is an option that we can put in place, but we have to go back to the lighting issue. there are times, depending on if it's what type of legal activity, if you have legal dumping in a dark place, sometimes we can reach out to DOT and say, hey, let's go ahead and get that police light, the really bright light, and let's put that there for a week's time and see if it helps. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes we'll come back and think it's short of money. All depends where we are. But there are options that we can put in place. That is not ETS. I would say that, ETS is not forward facing, or for the both of them, most of the time. We usually work directly with the councilman's office. But depending on what the situation is, what the illegal activity is, we're saying that there's a lot of, kids coming in, going back and forth before building, you're showing the security versus someone saying, hey, there's drug activity, there's a shooting, two different situations, get put into different security measures based off of the situation is.
Yeah, it's in particular for the lighting issue, if you contact our office, depending on if it's like a light that's already there and where it is, even if we can't, even if it like city isn't the one to do it, we'll work with the school system to get it.
Any other questions about the abandoned property at all?
Thank you so much. Real quick, if I can say, just kind of, you're good. Just kind of piggyback on what Leslie was saying, that as far as coming together, really consider that, just to give you an idea of what she was talking about as far as on my level, the state level, we're able to do bond bill initiatives. So if you have a project and we'll pretty much, you'll let me know as far as what type of money that you need allocated for that particular project. So it can be of the purchase of the building. You guys come together and develop a plan. I give you a timeline around October. That's when I'm working on bond bill initiative, so I can submit it to the legislature, so I can get it prepared for January. So just keep that in mind. So we're looking at, June, July, August, September, October. We're talking about 5 months. So you really need to be proactive right now to kind of sit there and say, okay, well, who are we going to go to? I mean, start with the community association. You got Westlake, with Jamestown, and so forth. But just try to get West as far as to come together as, or if there's a CEC, a Community Development Corporation that's here in the area, find out what you want to do with that building, come together, agree what you want done, at least purchase and put it in your hands, especially in terms of if Leslie is talking about that they're going to DGS and put the fencing around, so hopefully that'll secure it. But like I said, we can work on a bond initiative, whether it be into $55, $7 million as far as going to the purchase and upgrades to that building.
Okay, thank you very much. So, that concludes our question and answer for the evening. If you have any additional questions, please make sure you locate the, class dojo, our flyer that the PTO has placed in there. And make sure you fill out the form, and we'll be sure to forward any additional questions to our panel. But let's give it up for our panel. Donation time to answer all the questions on behalf of North Bend and the PTO. And I would also like to thank Ms. Hines and our principal, Ms. Hines, and our vice principal, Ms. Thomas, for allowing us to host this meeting. Thank you all for enough. And I'd like to thank the PTO team and the parents for collectively working to get our concerns heard and organizing this event. So thank you so very, very, very much to everybody. So again, make sure you fill out the form on Class Dojo if you have any additional questions. Feel free to join any of our PTO meetings when we post them in Class Dojo. And you all have a wonderful evening and safe arrival to your home. And happy belated Mother's Day to everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining in. I hope you could hear okay.